Hey everybody, welcome to the house of Valentina. I'm obviously not Valentina, I'm Jack. It is a gorgeous Sunday afternoon here in Atlanta and a lot of people wanted to go see houses. So as my wife was walking out the door today to go show some homes, she lovingly looked in my eye and said, "Love of my life, apple of my eye, stud muffin, will you please record a video today and answer the question that everyone has been asking?" Now, as I assumed the question is, Jack, can we clone you so we can all have a copy of you at home? I mean, I'm flattered, guys. I'll be honest with you, it's not the first time I've heard that request. But unfortunately, for legal and ethical reasons, no cloning of this quite yet. So, since that's not the question we're answering, I'm assuming the question we're answering is, how did you guys hang the lights over your back deck? And since it's Garden Week, this is the perfect time to walk you through exactly how we did that. Now, before we dive into the logistics around hanging these lights, let me tell you kind of the inspiration for this and kind of the challenges we faced ourselves. First of all, the inspiration was from our time abroad. When we moved back here in 2016, we'd lived abroad for 12 years. And part of that, we did live in a very warm climate. We lived in Morocco, we lived in Spain, we spent time in Italy and in southern France, and they all had these great, amazing outdoor living spaces. Again, they live on a slightly different timeline, so a lot of times dinner's not till 8 or 9 o'clock at night because that's when things finally start to cool off. And so they'll go out in these great outdoor spaces, the cobblestone, the great brick, some type of lattice or some type of, it could be wisteria or grapes or just about anything kind of flowing above you in these great lights. Because what you do is it's too hot to sit inside. No one wants to be inside in the heat of summer or in the heat of the day. So they wait till it's cool and they go to these amazing outdoor spaces. So I knew when we moved in here in 2016 that I wanted the same thing here. I wanted to recreate that feeling into an outdoor space. Now the problem was we inherited a backyard that no one had cared for. Zero, guys. I'm talking barren, just brownness and mud and little tiny plants. Everything was unhealthy. So we spent the first year just gutting, just adding and planting. I planted till I literally couldn't stand up anymore. And we spent my daughter's wedding fund basically on plants. And we finally got it to a decent space. And so the second year in, I said, I'm ready to go after this outdoor space. So the first thing we did was we had the back deck restained, cleaned up. We had a bunch of rotten boards replaced and just kind of the whole thing was just freshened up. And then I set my sights on the lights because I thought, well, it's Atlanta and it's like 100 degrees, 100% humidity all during the summer, but I want to entertain. I want to have people over. I want to go out there and sit and have a great beer and eat some great food from the grill or whatever it is. And I don't want to do that in the dark, right? So I needed some lighting. So I looked back to my time and I thought, well, we lived overseas and they always had these great spaces. That's what we're going to walk through right now. So there are basically 3 things we're gonna walk through. And the reason we're doing this inside is because it's hot outside today. It's like 85 degrees, 88 degrees, and the sun is shining brightly on the back deck. So I thought we would do as much as we can inside and then go out there and sweat. Because this hair, guys, this hair doesn't do well with humidity. So before we do, there's kind of a few things you need to think through before you go out and do this type of project. First of all, what type of lighting are you going to use? Now, we had used stuff before for the front during Christmas time that was very thin cables and very thin bulbs. And the problem is, if you look at the bulbs the wrong way, they're like, and they break. I mean, seriously, they broke everywhere. And it was just flimsy, it's just not well made. So when I bought these, I thought, I'm gonna go with a more commercial grade. So the ones down below, actually in the show notes here, are actually the ones that we bought and they're incredible. The cable is nice and thick, it's just a really good wiring and it has these little eye holes on top of the lights, which you'll see in a minute how important they are. But also the bulbs themselves. I can say we've had these lights up for 2 years through extreme heat and extreme wind and snow and everything else. Not a single bulb has broken, and as of this point, not a single bulb has burnt out. So these are just really, really well made. I bought 2 strands because I wanted to be able to go back and forth a little bit. I wanted to make sure it was well lit. So that's the first thing you have to deal with. The second thing you have to deal with is how are you going to lay them out? Now, unless you have a space that's about 5 feet, maybe 10 feet tops, you can't just actually hang the lighting from one side to the other. You're gonna need some type of cable system for the lights to attach to. So a large part of what I'm gonna be showing you outside today is actually related to that cable system. But as you can see here in this drawing, we have a U-shaped space. Our deck falls between, down here in the bottom, it falls between the sunroom, in the middle is the family room, and to the top is the master bedroom, and this is in the middle. So the first thing I did was I measured it out, and then these lines right here that I drew are the 2 cables that I attached. So I needed something for the lighting itself to attach to. So I have this entire kit. I'm literally gonna show you in a second exactly how it works. But there's an entire kit you can buy off Amazon. The link is down below. And literally it comes with everything you need. It comes with all the various parts. It even comes with little zip ties. You can piece this together yourself at your local hardware store, but I just say, order it off Amazon. It's a whole lot easier and you don't have to worry about buying the wrong stuff. But again, what you need first is a cable system so it's nice and strong, attaches to your home or attaches between your home and a tree or 2 trees or whatever it is you want to do. And then the lighting attaches to the cable. All right, so it's hot, but let's go on outside and I'll show you guys all the rest of the next steps. All right, so because I'm up on a ladder, it's just a lot easier for me to film this from behind the camera. So you guys can clearly see, these aren't just hanging across. They're on a wiring system that goes across. I've got 2 wires, 2 cables going across from one side of the house to the other. You can see then that they just kind of loop across, and this is how they drape. So how did I actually set it up? Let me flip around, I'll show you that. Okay, so here's the system. We've got an eye hook in the wall. You need 1 on each end, so I've got 2 sets of cables, so it's 4 eye hooks, 1 on each end. And then we've got these things called a turnbuckle. So what you do is you get the turnbuckle, then you have your cable here. You go through the turnbuckle, back around, use the crimps, so that's nice and secure, tighten those as tight as humanly possible, and then you use the turnbuckle itself. The turnbuckle actually pulls the cable super, super tight. So on both ends you do that, and then I went through with some just some black zip ties here and just kind of secured everything to where everything's attached twice. So you can see I've got the cabling here, but I've also got the lighting itself attached with these black ties to it. And again, I'm not actually hooking to the eye hook. I'm just attached to where I'm taking as much pressure off of the wires themselves as humanly possible. Then all you do is you go along, I leave a little bit of gap, and then I put one of these lights right here. It has an eye hole here, so I just use a black zip tie to connect it to the cable, and then I just work my way all the way down the edge until I get the other end of the cable. And in this case, then I did the zigzag that I showed you earlier all the way back across. So as you can see, the cable is actually the key to the success of this entire thing for 2 reasons. First of all, I have a wife, Valentina, who has a very high taste threshold, so the lighting needed to look good. And if it was just hanging on its own between 2 spaces, over time it would not look great. So it keeps stuff in place. And I can honestly say that through all the windstorms and the snowstorms and summers and all this crazy stuff we have going on in Atlanta sometimes, these lights do not move. And these cables keep it stationary. The second thing is I needed to have a good, safe space, right? Nothing says bad party like a bunch of light bulbs crashing on your head. So that's not what we want. So I needed something to keep it safe. And again, through all these things, even last year when we had a hurricane hit here, these lights did not budge. So that solves both problems. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope this has answered your biggest questions. Again, we couldn't touch cloning, but we could deal with this. Okay, so the other thing is if you really want to take this over the top, buy a remote control system. I have this set up. My wife for the longest time had no idea how I turn these lights on and off. And this is the best part because there's no plugging in, plugging out. If it starts to rain, or sometimes I just turn them on even though we're not out here just because I like seeing it through the window. This is the key. So grab one of these add it to your system. You'll be super grateful that you did. So if you look down below in the notes, you'll see a link to everything you need to pull off this project. The lights themselves are in there, the set for the cables and all the little hooks and all that stuff. There's a set of all that in there as well. Make sure you follow us over on Instagram. We have 2 accounts, House of Valentina and Valentina Fussell. And the cool thing is this Friday, May 22nd, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will do another live event, this time live from the garden. It's gonna be awesome. I can promise there's gonna be at least a cocktail involved, because that's just how I roll. But it's gonna be on the Valentina Fussell Instagram account. Make sure you also follow us over on Facebook at Inspired by V. We'll also be doing our live event there. And then if you're brand new to this, if you just stumbled upon us as you were looking up garden lighting or cloning of a handsome guy, whichever one of those led you here, then what you can do is you can just subscribe and then hit the little bell. That was my version of a bell. And hit the little bell and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope this helps you pull off your Mediterranean-inspired deck or porch or whatever. Once you do this, you'll be able to entertain all throughout the summer. All right, well guys, we can't wait to see you again all this week for Garden Week. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye. Where am I dipping?
All right, your turn, mister. All right, go out. Come on, dearie. Spin it away.